Hello, welcome to Control-F, the NSI's Cyber and Tech Centers podcast, coming to you live from RNDF, the Reagan National Defense Forum in Simi Valley, California. My name is Jamil Jaffer. I'm NSI's founder and executive director, and I'm joined by Martha Miller, NSI's deputy executive director. This special series brings us together for dynamic conversations with leaders from the policy sector, industry, and venture capital as we tackle some of the most pressing challenges facing the United States in our national security. Today, together, we'll explore the critical intersection of emerging technologies, defense modernization, and innovation shaping the future of national defense. In each of these 5 episodes, the NSI crew will sit down with a diverse group of experts, and today we're talking to Raj Shah, the former head of the Defense Innovation Unit, and now the managing partner of Shield Capital. So Raj, thanks for being here with us. So let's start by talking about your work at Shield today, right? You focus on investing in dual-use technologies, particularly those that serve both the commercial defense markets. Why are dual-use technologies so important to defense modernization, and how do you think about the dual-use question when it comes to the technology you're investing in?
Well, Jamil and Martha, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here with you both. So it's a great question, right? And where we focus at Shield. So Shield, we are an early stage investment firm, venture firm. We like to partner with founders with great ideas that are trying to really change and disrupt the world. And so as we think about the market, our thesis is that the greatest value creation and success will be companies at the intersection of national security and commercial uses. It's because you get not only access to 2 really big markets, but you'll get use cases from the government data that will help them accelerate and win in the commercial world. So we focus on artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, space, and robotics, slash autonomy. And we found that, if you've got a bigger market, you'll have more customers to go after. Now, some of our companies will start commercially first, cyber companies. There's plenty of CISOs. Others, like autonomy, may start in the government first before they go to the other. But I think one change that we have seen recently, as we're in Fund 2, is that customer interest in the government of being able to work with startups is really growing and succeeding. And so today we will invest in a company that's focused only on the defense market, but that's still the minority of what we do.
Well, and sticking with that for a moment, can you talk about how you identify companies with high dual-use potential? What characteristics or innovations make a startup stand out to you? And what makes them competitive?
Yeah. So we're an early stage, right? 2 people and a dog stage of investing. Maybe they don't even have the dog yet. And so, it's not a bunch of revenue to necessarily go diligence. They may not even have a product. So when I look at a company, there's 3 things that we're really evaluating, and in priority order. Number 1 is the team. Who are they? What have they done? Most importantly, will they not quit? Especially if it's a first-time founder. It's hard to explain just how difficult and lonely being a startup founder is. And so you really have to believe, are they going to have grit? Are they going to stay when it gets hard, right? Because it's almost, you have to be almost a little bit irrational to go start a startup, right? It financially doesn't make sense. So first and foremost, the team, don't quit. Also, can they sell? Because they're going to be selling customers, employees, investors. The second one is the market. So if the team is really good and they win, is it a market worth winning? Is it big enough? Either an existing market or one that we think we can create. And then thirdly is the technology, which of course is important, but for an early stage company, whatever they're coming up with is probably going to be wrong. And so it's more important is, can the team cycle and innovate fast, especially once competitors join. And so that's no different whether you're focused on the government market or the commercial market.
So, Raj, one of the things that you're a recently published author, right? You just written a book called DIUx. We'll put a link to it down in the YouTube channel and on our social media. But talk to us about this idea when you're talking about dual-use technologies. These startups have to work with the government, right? And you talked a lot about in DIUx about how you make the government and industry, the private sector and government work together. Talk to us about some of those challenges. How are they being overcome? How successful have we been thus far? And what needs to happen? We have a new administration coming in, a lot of private sector folks coming into leadership roles at the Department of Defense. Stephen Feinberg is Deputy Secretary of Defense designate. We've seen some private sector folks coming in as secretaries of various departments within the department, at least nominated potentially. How do we see that going, and what's left to be done?
Well, I just first highlight has been just an incredible amount of progress, right? When I had the fortune of helping lead DIU and be the stand-up of it in 2016.
And this is the unit at DoD, right? That interfaces between
Right.
Silicon Valley
Correct.
and the Department of
Right,
Defense.
the Defense Innovation Unit, started by Ash Carter. You have to imagine we were right after the Snowden disclosures. So Valley tech companies thought the government was bad as foreign intelligence organizations.
They thought they were being hacked by the U.S. government, or said so.
Exactly. I think I did the math. Maybe like 300 million of venture dollars actually went into companies focused on national security, and most venture investors would advise their companies not to work with the government because it was too hard. Okay, let's fast forward now 10 years later. Last 3 years, 140 billion venture dollars has gone into startups. I've never seen more great technologists and engineers want to go and solve this. And we're here at the Reagan Forum, and I hear the word innovation and DIU in nearly every speech. You look at the list of sponsors, and they're all tech companies. So it's been a total sea change, but there's still ways to go, right? Maybe if I look at how much commercial tech the DoD is spending, I don't know, 0.5%. It's an $880 billion budget. Should we really believe these futures will be, but these technologies are decisive in the future, maybe we should spend 5%, 10%. So there's some ways to go. I think there's a lot of opportunity for the new administration. You're getting in people from the outside that understand this world, that want to do business differently. I think you have a Congress that is on both houses that are interested in reform. So I think we might be in a really unique time that we're going to change how we buy and equip our armed forces to deter conflict.
So obviously we don't act alone. We have our allies. Thank goodness. So as in your role with the NATO's Innovation Fund, which puts you at the heart of allied efforts to drive defense innovation and as a collective. What lessons from your work at DIUx and Shield Capital can be applied to fostering innovation across our allied nations? How can NATO and the U.S. better align on these priorities?
Well, it's a great point, Martha, and we win because we have friends, right? That's how we win against our adversaries. NATO has this new innovation fund. It's €1 billion sovereign wealth fund. 22 EU countries have participated. The U.S. has not participated yet, but many of us are optimistic that they'll eventually do the right thing and join. And its idea is to invest in young technology companies to help build capacity and technology for national security defense cases. So I think it's a really bold move by NATO. And I think it provides now another opportunity for us to become closer with our partners. How do we make this tech interoperable? How does DIU, and they have their equivalent of it called Diana, work more closely together? So I think this excitement that I had described earlier, I think, is also happening with our allies and partners. And so this could be a truly global moment for change.
So, Raj, you talked about this idea that the department is more open to innovation, or ought to be more open to innovation. Some of the people coming in might be more interested in that space as well, Congress and the like. Talk about the emerging technologies that you think are going to play a role here. Obviously, AI is going to have to play a role. We know we talk about quantum and edge computing. Talk about that in practice. Like, what does that look like on the battlefield for the warfighter, for the intelligence officer? How game changing is it going to be? How game changing can it be if DoD goes down this road? Could this fundamentally change the face of warfare in your mind?
Absolutely, and I think there's two components to it, and I'd center both of them around artificial intelligence, which is revolutionizing enterprises, and even our daily lives, right? You can just see it with ChatGPT, but it's going to make massive change. So I think it's two things. One, making better decisions. Right? We collect a lot of data, we have a lot of sensors, but ultimately on the battlefield, in the fog of war, if you make better decisions consistently, you'll have a better outcome. And I think AI, with its ability to analyze far more information at a pace that humans can't, will help our decision makers see through that fog. So I think that's one. I think the second piece is this autonomous revolution, right, which is underpinned by AI. I had the opportunity to go out to Ukraine last year, visit several of the drone factories, and watch the testing that they were doing in the electronic warfare environment. I mean, the speed of change is incredible. It's coming here to our forces as well, and so we just need to figure out the right mix of our legacy systems and new things. Not an either or. We'll need both. But I think this autonomous nature is going to be pretty revolutionary.
And on that note, I found it fascinating that you had actually incorporated legacy technologies with your own creation as a pilot.
That's right. Yes, yes. I flew with some tablets, almost 15 years ago in an F-16.
Well, so let me ask you about that, because we just had Brandon Singh on talking from Shield AI talking about how their autonomous pilot, they've onboarded. They said they're the first company to fly an F-16 fully autonomously. And here's the claim. I want to know if this is true. If this would be true for you, if you were in the seat going up against one of these. They say their autonomous pilot flying an F-16 wins 99% of the time today. Would you beat the AI pilot
Well,
in a dogfight?
it all depends on the pilot. So if I was in there, no.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I actually have some first-hand knowledge. I'm still in the reserves, and I've had the opportunity to be a little bit part of that program, flying in 16. I think it's showing tremendous progress, right, and initial success that an algorithm can do good things in an air combat situation, but it's still early. Those things are very scripted. There's still a lot left to do. So I think we're in the early days of this, but we have a ways to go.
Cool.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about the RNDF survey. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but respondents rated the U.S. as best in the world, or one of the best, in satellites and rockets by 84% of the respondents said so. Artificial intelligence, computer and cellular technologies, and robotics. So, and actually, although I will say in one of these metrics, only 50% rate us as, or still rate us as one of the best, not the best. So what do you think? Are these respondents correct? Are we the best? Are we one of the best? And what would allow us or hinder us from being or maintaining this status, assuming we do still have it?
So I too am an optimist by heart, and so would like to say yes, we're the best. But I think what's different now is that the margin of that differential is shrinking. And so while we still may be the best in many of these areas, there are more competitors on our heels than we've ever had. And the speed of change and adoption is far more important even than some of these core technologies that you're going to protect. And so for us to stay ahead, will require us to double down on, I think, what's made America strong historically: the free flow of capital, the free flow of people. And we're going to do our own version of civil military fusion, which is through capitalism. And so if we can continue to do that, I'm confident we'll stay ahead and we'll be ingenious and we'll attract the best people from around the world. But we certainly cannot rest on our laurels.
So, talking about that, not resting on our laurels and thinking about maintaining our competitive edge, as we think about our competitors, we're not the only ones thinking about defense modernization, right?
Mm-hmm.
China, Russia,
Mm-hmm.
Iran, North Korea, some of the smaller nations are actually trying to use defense modernization to skip a generation,
Mm-hmm.
skip fighter jets and big tanks and go straight to autonomous vehicles. How do we see defense modernization or adversaries playing out? And are we likely to maintain that competitive edge, even if we do all the things you're talking about, spend 5% on defense innovation or 10 or 20%, and modify our rules and get rid of programs of record and do all the things? Are our adversaries just going to move faster because they have to?
Well, our system is messy, right? Certainly. But I think the advantage of having an open system that with high degrees of transparency is that ultimately you win, and the best ideas will surface to the top, and the bad ideas will go away because not all ideas are good to begin with. And I think these command directed kind of closed places have a lot more risk in being unable to switch and change. So there's going to be lots of folks doing different types of innovation. But again, I go back to, as we started, our two principles: one, support the innovation economy with capitalism, and two, have friends.
And finally, since we are at RNDF, just reflecting on the theme of peace through strength, in a time of transition, I'd like to ask, how do efforts in defense modernization and the push to support innovation in these technologies contribute to sustaining and strengthening U.S. power and certainly during such a pivotal period in the world.
Yeah. I mean, look, the ultimate goal of national security and a military is to prevent war, right, and deter others from starting wars. And so that is the whole, I think, motto behind peace through strength. And I think the twist now is that it's not just a small group of companies in the defense world doing it. It's them plus all these new entrants of technologies, plus the broader economic factors that we have to navigate. So it truly is becoming a whole of government.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for Raj Shah for joining us from Shield Capital. Thanks to Keelan Wolf, Claude Jennings, the entire NSI CTC staff for their help in producing today's episode. The Control F podcast, including our live from RNDF podcast, is also on YouTube. So please check out our NSI's page for a video of today's episode. Also check out the social media and the stuff below the YouTube for a link to Raj's book, Unit X. And as always, if you like what you heard or saw, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks, Raj.
Thanks, Jamil. Thanks, Martha.
Thank you.